Hi. India's manufacturing and export sectors are facing historic challenges due to recent US tariff hike that have led to stalled orders and disrupted supply chains. Against this backdrop, Russia has offered trade assurance and is positioning itself as a vital alternative market for Indian exports. But the question remains, can Russia truly compensate for the losses from fading US trade? To answer this, we turn to history and emerging trends, exploring past India-Russia trade bonds and their future potential in today's episode of Logistically Speaking. In late 2025, Russian President Vladimir Putin assured Indian leaders that Russia would increase its import of Indian goods to address bilateral trade imbalances. This move arrives amidst US sanctions and tariff escalation, pushing Indian exporters to look beyond traditional Western markets. The Indian Commerce Department is actively collaborating with various export sectors to identify tariff and non-tariff barriers hindering trade with Russia. As a result, agricultural products, pharmaceutical, textiles, chemical and engineering goods have been spotlighted for potential export growth to Russia. Bilateral trade between India and Russia reached a record $68.7 billion in the financial year 24-25, a nearly six-fold increase from pre-pandemic level of $10.1 billion in 1920. India's export to Russia stood at $4.9 billion, showing promising but still modest growth relative to import from Russia, which totaled around $63.8 billion, largely driven by energy supplies. India and the Soviet Union maintained a close economic ties during the Cold War, shaped by political alliances and mutual interest. The USSR was a major buyer of Indian tea, jute, pharmaceutical and engineering goods, providing a significant export market and technology partnership for India. During that period, around 50 to 55% of India's tea production was bought by USSR. Trade flourished under concessional terms, helping India industrialize with the Soviet assistance. In fact, the support of USSR with the heavy machinery and equipment was vital in establishing Belai Steel Plant, Bokaro Steel Plant, ONGC's oil exploration, which paved way for India's industrialization. This relationship insulated India against global market shock and political pressures of the period, illustrating how geopolitical alignments can influence trade flows profoundly. History teaches us that diversification of export market often occurs when political tensions disrupt traditional trade partners. For example, during the US-China trade tensions of the early 2020s, many companies sought alternative manufacturing hubs in Southeast Asia, shifting supply chains rapidly to mitigate tariff and geopolitical risk. Similarly, India faces a turning point where enhanced trade with Russia could partially offset losses from US tariff, but scaling this relationship faces challenges including structural barriers, payment systems issue, and logistical bottlenecks. While Russia offers promise, India's exporters encounter hurdles, import regulations, quality certifications, customs clearance complexities, and right issues add friction. However, focused steps such as those in ongoing FTA talks between India and the Eurasian Economic Union that includes Russia aim to reduce tariff and streamline market access. Russia's growing appetite for agricultural goods, pharmaceutical, textile and engineering products present strong sector-specific opportunities that closely match India's export strength. The balance remains dictated Russia's current import capacity and economic condition constrain rapid expansion. but strategic collaboration and infrastructural investment could unlock potential. India's export future will likely be multi-pronged, maintaining US market links while accelerating growth in Russia, the European Union, ASEAN and Africa. Russia's trade assurances are a vital lifeline that echoes India's historical economic ties with the USSR, but must be viewed as part of a diversified portfolio. For India to succeed, it must address non-tariff barriers, improve logistic shipping routes, pursue regulatory harmonization, and leverage geopolitical partnerships prudently. The other major challenge is on banking settlements as payment systems are disrupted by sanctions. If this analysis shed light on the evolving trade landscape, please like, share, comment your views on India-Russia trade and subscribe for up-to-date insight on global commerce and logistics. Thank you for watching.